fortune teller to help you to revise the theory of the 4 humours, part of the medicine course. I'm going to start by making that paper fortune teller. You need to start with a square piece of paper. So the easiest way to do that is fold the corner up, and you need to get rid of this excess rectangle. So you can either cut that off with scissors, probably the neatest way to do it, or I'm going to just tear that off the side. Like that. That leaves me with a square with a crease up the middle, and that crease is going to be really important later on. So I'm just going to fold it the other way as well to create a crease going the other way, and open it back into a square. And as you can see there, I've got a cross shaped crease through the middle of my square. That gives me a centre point. I'm going to fold each of the 4 corners of my square up to that centre point first of all. Down all 4 corners, and then I'm going to turn the sheet of paper over so that folded side is now touching the table, and I'm going to do exactly the same again with this slightly smaller square. So I'm going to fold the corners up and to the centre point of that square, and again there's creases there to help me find it. All I need to do now to make my paper fortune teller is to fold, to keep it the same side up, and to fold it in half, just like that. I can get my fingers and thumbs underneath the flaps now. And I push the sides together, a bit of wiggling. I've got that paper fortune teller. We're going to use this paper fortune teller to revise the 4 humours by giving us access to some reveals as we open the fortune teller. Around the outside, the thing we're going to be testing are those 4 humours that the Greeks and the Romans initially believed made up the human body, the 4 liquids within the human body. They're going to go around the outside of our fortune teller, so we can ask questions about each of those 4 humours. It's going to be much easier to lay it flat on the table to write on it, but what you want to make sure is that you're getting the order correct of the 4 humours, or you're getting a logical order to those 4 humours for later on, so you can use the tables that they have in the textbooks. I'm just going to put that flat on the table. There's nothing wrong with keep turning it into the fortune teller to make sure you're getting it in the right order. And I'm going to start with blood, as it does on the table in the textbook. Then I'm going to move round. This is my next corner. I'm going to put yellow bile. And then as I move it around the fortune teller, black bile. And finally the 4th humour of phlegm. Okay, that's each of my 4 humours on my paper fortune teller. So, on the inside we're given 2 reveals for each of those 4 humours, so I've got 2 bits of information that I can use. If you open it up again to that next layer that's revealed, you've got for each humour, I'm showing you black bile there, you've got a corner. I'm just going to draw around this one to show you what I mean by a corner. A corner or a quarter, as you can see with the blue box around, that is the quarter for black bile. And there are 2 triangles for each of those quarters. That means you're only revealing one bit of information at a time. So if I close this back up again and try and show you, you can see with the black bile there, I can do a reveal that way and we see one of those corners, and then a reveal the other way and we see the second corner. And the bits of information I'm going to put on are the seasons associated with each of those 4 humours, first of all, and then the element associated with each of those 4 humours. So I want to be making sure that it's on the same reveal that I put the seasons. And I'm just going to put a dot in the corner of each of these triangles to make it slightly easier for me to write on, so that when I open it up again I can see which triangle I'd like to write the seasons in. So in the case just going through them, so black bile I know is associated with autumn. You can get this information from the book. If I move round to my next dot, that's going to be the reveal for phlegm. So I'm going to put winter, which I know to be the season associated with phlegm. This is where you can check your order and that things are working, so it should make sense in terms of the order of the seasons as you work round clockwise. So we've got autumn, then winter. I'm hoping this one where I have my dot is going to be spring as the next season. And I've just checked the association is blood, which is associated with spring. That's good. And finally, yellow bile is associated with summer. So that all works well. That's going to be one side of my reveal, so I can ask people questions about the associated seasons. The other side is going to be the element associated with each of the 4 humours. So for black bile, which I know because I've got autumn written in there, is associated with earth. Winter, so that must be phlegm, is associated with water as an element. Spring, associated with air, and blood is the humour associated with both of those. And finally, summer is associated with fire, as is yellow bile. I'm going to show you how that might work in a testing situation. So you put together your paper fortune teller and you ask yourself, which season is blood associated with? And if I open up for the reveal, hopefully we've said spring, as you can see there. If I ask myself, which element is blood associated with? Hopefully the answer is air that we give, and you can do the reveal, and hopefully you can see there you've got air on your reveal. So it's just a way of testing yourself, testing other people in terms of recall and associated things with those 4 humours. You have got one last layer that you can put in. So if I open it up again, you can see we've got these triangles that give us one last reveal. So there is some information, more information that we can sort of test ourselves on. Notice that the triangle is actually between 2 humours, and the qualities of the humours fit in quite nicely with that, because there are qualities that are associated with the same quality associated with 2 humours. So I'm starting there with the humours of blood and yellow bile. The quality associated with both of those is heat. So I'm going to write that both blood and yellow bile are hot. As I move round, the 2 humours that we have are yellow bile and black bile. I can see on the table that they are both associated with dryness. So I can write dry. This actually works in more than one way. So if I was thinking about one humour in particular, black bile is both dry and cold. So I can reveal 2 to see that that one humour is dry and cold. But it works that black bile and phlegm are both associated with cold. And phlegm is cold and wet. And both phlegm and blood are associated with wet. So that brings us all the way around one last example of how that might work. If I pick phlegm and I asked what seasons phlegm was associated with, hopefully we'd all say winter. And if I open up onto my seasons, you can see the reveal confirms that it is winter. Which element is most associated with phlegm? Hopefully our answer would be water, and on my reveal you can see there that it's confirmed that it is water. You can then ask somebody what quality is associated with phlegm and blood. And if they were telling you wet, then they would be correct, and you can look at that for the reveal. Okay. You can also do a double reveal if you want to know the qualities associated, both qualities associated with phlegm. You just need to open up both sides. That's how you can use it to revise the 4 humours.